When I finally got through the big front doors of this church, it was so warm. It was the kind of warm that revives the soul, that kind of warm you can feel in your bones when you're cold, the kind of warm that melts ice. The national gathering of clergy in Minneapolis on Wednesday was at a really large downtown church. And I'd been there before. It had hosted a conference I had attended a couple of years ago. So I thought I knew where it was, but I got lost and I was running late for the start of things. And we were asked, please don't be late. So I was hustling and it was cold outside. It was a cold I can't ever remember having experienced. It was well below zero and a horrible wind howling down the streets. And it was going to get colder physically, spiritually, emotionally, politically over the next few days. When I finally got through the big front doors of this church, it was so warm. It was the kind of warm that revives the soul, that kind of warm you can feel in your bones when you're cold, the kind of warm that melts ice. And as I walked into this enormous church, it was packed. There was not a lot of room in the hallways and in the foyer. There was a lot of us there. It was a little bit of a shuffle to move through the spaces. So many clergy, hundreds and hundreds of us from around the country. And it lifted my heart so much because I saw yellow everywhere. The yellow shirts, the yellow stoles, the yellow hats. The Unitarian Universalists were all over this crowd. I was so proud to be a Unitarian Universalist. In the great scheme of things, we are a tiny religion, but we had shown up in big numbers, far above our representation statistically in the larger religious community. And I took my coat and peeled off my layers and stuffed things I wasn't wearing in my backpack, and I guzzled a hot coffee and hustled down to where the sanctuary was for the start of this program. And I saw a table where I could put my cup because you couldn't bring it into the sanctuary. I put my empty coffee cup down. And as I looked up to go in the door, coming right at me, heading right for me with a huge smile, was my friend Megan. And I met Megan when I lived and served our churches in Texas. And the last time I saw her in person, I think that was 15 years ago or more. That was a drive home from Oklahoma City to Texas where we'd gone to a UU conference there together. And also driving with us was our friend Natalie. And we stopped to get fried pie. If you've ever had fried pie, you know what I'm talking about. And we ate a lot of fried pie on the way back to Dallas, Fort Worth. And I had not seen Megan in person since that day. And before I knew what happened, Megan just walked up to me and just wrapped me in this huge hug. And it melted me. And I just looked at Megan and we smiled and we walked into the sanctuary. Until Megan hugged me, I was terrified. I did not jump right up and run off to Minneapolis full of excitement and looking for adventure. It's a dangerous place to be right now. But the reality is, everywhere is going to be a dangerous place to be in this country soon. Unless people of goodwill show up in large numbers to places like Minneapolis and Maine and Danbury, and in spite of fear, put ourselves between our neighbors and the evil that comes to attack them. I have some health issues, not a big deal, especially if I have access to my medicine. but would have been a nightmare if I had found myself in detention or arrested and not able to access them. I know someone's going to have to get arrested, probably a lot of someone's before this is over. And in the end, I decide, well, if it has to be me, it will be. I may not go looking for it, but knowing that might happen. I also didn't have the money for plane tickets or a hotel or food or ride shares. I didn't have the right extreme cold weather clothes and equipment I was going to have to hustle to buy or find really fast. I have asthma and I hate cold air. It was not an easy decision to make to go, but I had to go. I was not going to Minneapolis for a conference, for a retreat, for a reunion with my colleagues, as great as it was to see my friend Megan, and as much as that calmed me down. I was going to go, and I went because I kept hearing my name called in the depth of my heart, in the bottom of my soul. Tony, Tony, you have to go. Tony, Tony, what if not enough people show up? You have to go. You can go. You've got to go. In the Hebrew scriptures, you may know that when God calls someone, God or an angel speaks their name twice. Abraham, Abraham. Moses, Moses. Joseph, Joseph. And the response of the person called is always the same. Here I am. Send me. I will go. And that's all I could say. Here I am. I will go. I don't know how to explain calling to anyone who hasn't felt like they've ever been called to or by anything. I can tell you it's real. I can't tell you if it's God calling, conscience calling, love calling. All I can tell you is people are called. I'm one of them. And I know that the response is, here I am. The organizers in Minneapolis likened their invitation to clergy around the country to that of Martin Luther King calling people to Selma. I wasn't yet born when people like James Reeb went off to Selma in 1965. I was here this time. When it was finally okay for us to post some social media and show folks where I was at the end of the march on Friday, I saw some comments from people, and somebody said, I'm a hero. And that cannot be further from the truth. In my heart, I did what conscience insisted I must. I answered the call to just go and help, just go, just be there. I just said yes. Yes, here I am. Yes, I will go. And I need you to listen. If you haven't heard it yet, you're being called. Listen for your name. It'll be said twice in your heart. It is your time. It is our time to say yes to the invitations, the requests, the call. Here I am. Send me. I will go. You don't have to be fearless. Fearlessness right now is foolishness. It's scary out there. But you can be brave. You can say yes, even though you're anxious and scared and don't even know exactly what to do. The answer is yes. The answer to how is yes. Why? Yes. What? Yes. The answer is yes. Here I am. I will go. I will go where the Spirit leads me. I will go where love leads me. I will go where God leads me. All too often, we get bogged down in questions about how. How much will it cost? How do we know it will work? And these can be ways we just avoid doing what's difficult. I couldn't afford plane tickets or boots or ski pants or cold rated mittens or a respirator if I got tear gassed. I couldn't afford any of this. So I did what I could do. I asked for help, and it came immediately, more than I needed. I'll have to be giving a lot of it away to our immigrant neighbors and other people who need it now. But I trusted that if I said yes, I would find what I needed, raised what I needed. And it did. My job was to say yes and be brave and go. And courage is showing up even when you are scared. And I think we're all scared. Nobody who was with us in Minneapolis wasn't scared. And we all need to say yes anyway. I showed up in Minneapolis as an aging, if not old, white cis hetero man, responding to an invitation from a BIPOC and queer group of clergy to help, to just show up, to bear witness, to show the moral force of religious people of all kinds from all over the country. So I went, I said yes, I showed up, I followed their lead. I went to learn. I went to learn and be a follower. I was there to learn how to help others be followers. I was reminded that those who have borne the most pain, those who have been most impacted, those who have been most harmed need to be centered in leadership and power. The gathering of clergy from around the country, when we were all seated there Wednesday morning, began with the American Indian Movement national anthem. And we were invited to sing that song and others. And we did, hundreds of us, we sang. We sang before the beginning of every program, every session, every breakout group, everywhere we gathered. We sang all the time. We sang. We sang out the fear and the anxiety. We sang our solidarity. We sang ourselves into hope. We sang ourselves into community. We sang ourselves into courage. We sang the power of God. We sang the power of conscience. We sang the call of justice. We sang the power of love. We are called as congregations, as people of faith, to show up, to follow the lead of our immigrant communities, to be the presence of faith in this time of trauma and difficulty. Those who study authoritarian governments and resistance movements that oppose them say that faith is a vital characteristic of movements that succeed in defeating authoritarian tyrants. And another thing needed for success against such tyrants is broad-based, diverse, multicultural, multi-generational coalitions. And there in Minneapolis, we were one. The importance of people of faith, of us as a congregation showing up, saying yes, was brought home to me by my wife when she picked me up from the airport. She had spent all day yesterday at an ACLU training in New Haven. And at one point in the day, angry at feeling frustrated and a little helpless, one of the participants said, "Where are the churches? Why aren't they helping? I'm from Danbury and they're not doing anything there." And my wife said, "Excuse me?" We are here. we say yes. And we're going to say it louder. And we're going to say it with more and increasing confidence. And we're going to show up. And we're going to help. And we're going to follow the lead of those who need to be centered in power. And this is not going to go away overnight. Those who study these things say it takes 3.5% of a population to commit to active, not just symbolic, resistance for a sustained period of years to defeat tyrannical governments. And this is 3.5% actively doing things, getting bodies in the way, not just showing up at a rally, and for sustained periods of time. And part of that 3.5% success is faith communities committing to the struggle and participating actively and consistently. I hear us being called in ways that will test us, stretch us, make us uncomfortable. I heard a woman talk in Minneapolis about needing to recruit neighbors to hide people in their homes. If you've ever thought, would I have held people in the Underground Railroad station in my own house? Would I have hid Anne Frank's family? People are doing it right now in Minneapolis. It's time. I know it's scary, but I know we will answer the call. We can answer the call without having all the answers, without needing to be in charge, without guarantees of success or safety, because we believe in the power of community. We believe in the dignity and worth of every person. We believe in the power of love. And I know we will answer the call by living and practicing what we sing. We will answer the call of love together. Check out my website and blog at tonylorenzen.com for even more resources that will open your mind, touch your heart, and inspire your spirit.